Hey yo, this is Dash.
Yeah.
So let me hurry up and get a couple sticks or splits thrown in here. Just like that, as soon as I close the door, she stops steaming because the heat has gone down in there. So I'm gonna keep an eye on the temperature here, and I'll be back in a bit. All right, so it's been a couple hours. Time for me to check on my chicken. Is primarily what I'm gonna be checking right now. The chicken and the ribs, the baby back ribs. The beef ribs I'm not really gonna touch, not really gonna bother. I'm just gonna let them hang out in the smoke for a little while longer. But let me go ahead and get the wings sauced and flipped, as well as the ribs sauced. Careful, don't overextend your rack. All right, so the wings are looking great. The chicken is looking pretty good as well. I'm gonna let the chicken hang out. I don't really want it to brown very much so far, because I'm just gonna let it go. The customer for today's cook asked for no barbecue sauce on the chicken, so I'm gonna let it do what it does, and I'll probably flip it in the next hour or so. Okay, so at this point, I'm gonna get some sauce on my ribs. Now, I'm sure you probably saw that I painted. I used a brush to get to spread the barbecue sauce out on the chicken wings. But it's like, well, what if you don't have a brush, or if you forget your brush inside the house? Let me show you how you can get it done with just using your hands and some barbecue sauce. Okay, so if you have your barbecue sauce in the squeeze bottle or however, and all you're gonna need is a glove. So what I'm gonna do is get the sauce on the ribs first. And then all I wanna do is just spread the sauce around to put a thin layer over the entire rack. And I'm just kind of moving my hand back and forth, getting some of the sauce to the edge. Hopefully you can see that. Get my sauce to the edge. And it's just a light coat of sauce. Nothing too crazy. We can kind of shift the sauce around to get everything. And that's it. Nice even coat. Missed. All right, cue the
One eternity later.
Okay, so my wings are getting right where they're right where I need them to be. The chicken, let me pull this out so you can see. The chicken is getting nice and ripe. That skin is darkening up and getting, it's not crisp, but it's not rubber either. Now the skin on the wings is looking pretty perfect right now. So I'm gonna let those hang out, and I'm getting ready to get probes into the wings, a sample wing, so I can just kind of monitor it. And then the chicken, I'll put probe into the breast. This one is smaller, so I don't know. I might do this one in the middle there. And these ribs. Hopefully you can see that the barbecue sauce is set on the ribs. Let me get you zoomed in. Okay, so like I was saying, the sauce is set on the ribs, and I'm gonna go ahead and get them into a pan, and we're just gonna let them finish cooking. Now, one of the things I'm gonna do is I'm gonna move them from this side of the smoker to the hotter side of the smoker, because we have some evaporation of that water that's down in there. All right, and then last but not least, my lamb is gonna cook much faster than the other foods that are here were. And also the lamb was still a little frozen when I took it out of the refrigerator this morning. So I let it sit out on the counter so that it could thaw out, so that I could open it all up and season it. Now, this is a whole boneless leg of lamb, and you see it's been deboned. When I tried to open it up earlier today, it was all stuck together and I couldn't do anything with it. So right now I'm going to get it kind of bunched together, and I'm going to put it into the smoker right here. And then while I'm checking the chicken, I will keep an eye on that. So, all right, so I wanted to talk to you guys quickly before I wrap these up. Wanted to show you around these ribs. You can see the pullback that's starting to happen, okay, on the short end of the bones there. And you can see that good, nice mahogany color. Trying to get the light down in here to hopefully make it easier for you to see. So these have been out in here for a little over, for about 5 hours. They've been on the smoker. I let them go for 4, and then I put some sauce on them and let them go for another hour. And I'm going to take them in the house and finish them in the oven. Everything else I have, those are the ribs back there, the baby back ribs back there, and obviously these are the beef ribs. I'm going to take this stuff in the house just so I don't have to keep coming on back out here. And this is the lamb. You can see the lamb is also starting to get that good, you know, mahogany color there. It's starting to redden up. So in regards to the lamb, I usually run the lamb in the smoker until it hits 125 degrees, just about. Typically takes about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours at the absolute most, depending on how cold it was before it went in the smoker. Now, today, I usually cook the lamb to about 145 degrees, which is medium. Between 140 and 145, kind of just depends on where I catch it, typically. But 145 is typically the max that I'll cook the lamb to. Now, today, the person that is getting this leg of lamb actually asked me to cook it a little more well. So, for them, I'm gonna actually cook it to about 150 degrees. That's just the way he likes it. So nonetheless, I'm gonna get the ribs wrapped up. Well, actually they are in the pan. They're getting ready to go in the house. The lamb is getting ready to get wrapped up in the pan and go in the house. Actually, no, you know what? I'm gonna leave the lamb out here. I'm just gonna wrap it up. Since the fire is going, I'll kick that up a little bit and I'll finish that out here just because, and I'll take the beef ribs as well as the baby backs in the house and get them finished. So I'll show you guys what the ribs look like when they're done. And I'm also, as a favor to this customer, I typically slice up the leg of lamb for them just because I have the knife and the cutting board and she asked me to. All right guys, so you see me show you how, you know, baby backs come out. I know you guys have asked about beef ribs and you guys have asked about lamb. So let me get the baby backs out of the way so I can show you what's going on with these beef ribs. All right, hopefully you guys are ready for this. Ooh. Now I can tell you now, that's what you're looking for. Look how clean those bones are. Now, if I were to take this bone, I could pull it straight out of there, I'm sure. But, so here are the beef ribs. Now, I cook my beef ribs similarly to how I cook brisket. So, I will go ahead and I'll have the ribs in the smoker up until they get between 160 and maybe 165 degrees, or 4 to 5 hours, whichever comes closer, when they get that good look. And then I finish them out. I usually go to between 200 and 205 degrees. It really all depends on what they look like, what they feel like, how much fat there is. All of those things are big determining factors. Now let's show you the lamb real fast. Now this lamb is not indicative of how I usually do the lamb. I did it a little differently because of the customer's request. So I told you guys that, now you see in this pan, there's plenty of au jus. And actually I'll show you the fat separator, you know, in action. I'll show you using it. But this particular customer asked me to cook their lamb a little more well done and they wanted extra au jus. So I put it into the pan earlier than I normally would. I normally put it in the pan at about 120 degrees. I wrap it about 120 degrees and then let it cook or finish to capture this au jus until it cooks to 142, maybe 145 degrees max to get us a nice good medium, okay? Now, the customer that for this particular lamb today asked me to cook it like a little more medium well, so I took it to 150 degrees, and I took it and put it into the pan earlier than normal to capture extra au jus. Usually when the lamb is in the smoker just smoking, that those juices just drip into the bottom of the pan. They asked me to capture more of it, so I put it into the pan earlier to capture more of it as it comes out of the lamb. But let me get the fat separator and I'll show you how I actually use that. Okay, so here is the fat separator that I use to collect the au jus and separate the au jus from the fat on lamb and brisket primarily. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna, this part is key. Okay, you put this in here and it stops up the pour spout. Now all I'm gonna do is pick up the lamb and pour the juices from the container into the fat separator. Now it's kind of difficult to see. It's kind of difficult to see, especially at an angle. But I'll let this sit here for a little while and we'll see the fat. Now, it wasn't much fat in there, but we'll see the fat separate or render away from the au jus. All right, so as you can see here, there is a little bit of separation, and if I let this sit here for much longer, this was just like 30 seconds of separation here. But that little bit, that lighter bit on top is the fat from the lamb. The lamb is not exceptionally fatty, or the fat from the lamb doesn't render all that much because it doesn't hit the high enough temperature. But if I were to take this and use this when smoking a brisket, you would see a lot more fat in there separated from the au jus, the good stuff, to the stuff you might not necessarily want. All right, so since I get asked often about lamb, I'm gonna show you how I slice up this boneless leg of lamb. Now, from what I understand, I'm actually gonna cut it in half to try and get a good read on which way the grain of the muscle is going. Move that off to the side so it's getting out of your way. But just take a look at that decent smoke ring all in there, and it's juicy as the day is long. Again, this is cooked to this one was cooked to a medium well. Usually I cook my lamb to medium, but this customer asked for it to be medium well. So I'm gonna go ahead and slice it. So it looks like we have a couple different muscles all together here. So I'm just gonna slice it the long way. Okay, so you guys saw me get this all sliced up, and it's ready for me to put into the pan. And you guys have seen me use the knife to pick up and move things in the past. My hand is not big enough to get it all in one shot, so we're going to do this. Well, I can grab this part, we'll get it up in there, and then we'll come back for the rest of this. All right, so there you have it. Today's cook was a hodgepodge. Today is actually Easter, so that's why there was such a hodgepodge of what I was cooking today. So I didn't do any brisket, I didn't do any pork shoulder for pulled pork, didn't do any boneless skinless chicken for pulled chicken, but I did do 2 whole chickens. We did 50 chicken wings. I did 2 racks of beef ribs. I did 3 racks of baby back ribs, and I did 1 boneless leg of lamb. This was like a 4.5 pound boneless leg of lamb, uncooked. So it's probably about 3.5–4 pounds here after cooking. So if you have any questions about what you saw today, leave a comment down below. If you like what you saw, or if you learned something, do me a solid and leave a thumbs up. Thank you as always for watching, and I'll see you next time.